Surely some of my Republican friends believe, at the very least, that in this chamber we should be able to debate about voting rights. After all, voting rights are preservative of all other rights. And what could be more hypocritical and cynical than invoking minority rights in the Senate as a pretext for preventing debate about how to preserve minority rights in the society?
That was Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock blasting Republicans for their opposition to just having a debate on voting rights. It's hours ahead of a vote to advance the For the People Act, the Democrat sweeping voting legislation. Senator Warnock's very presence in the Senate for this crucial battle was made possible in part by a daring moment of activism by the WNBA's Atlanta Dream. Last August, team members wore T-shirts with the words "Vote Warnock," endorsing him against then-team owner, Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler. It was in part because of Loeffler's opposition to Black Lives Matter. That endorsement, though, turned out to have enormous consequences for Warnock and the entire country. It helped propel him from fourth place to becoming Georgia's first black senator. That win handing Democrats, of course, control of the U.S. Senate. Now the Atlanta Dream is joining Senator Warnock and at least 70 other businesses in the fight for our democracy, signing a letter calling on the Senate to pass the For the People Act. The letter reads in part, quote, "Let's be very clear. This is not a partisan issue. The For the People Act is not about choosing one party or one issue over another. It is about common sense reforms that protect and expand our democracy and put the power in the hands of the people. It is about reaffirming our founding principle that we can chart our own course as a nation." Joining us now, two-time WNBA champion Renee Montgomery, now a part owner of the Atlanta Dream, as well as a vice president of the team. Michael Steele is still here. We had so many conversations heading up to the election about the work you were doing to not just get out the vote, but to make voting easier in the middle of a pandemic in places where it wasn't always obvious where and how you could vote. From what you did, Republicans want to shut most of that down, as I understand it. Arena voting would be much more difficult if these laws passed. How do you combat all that good when one of the two governing party was to shut it all down?
You know, the first thought for me, thank you for having me on the go. The first thought for me.
Thank you for being here. Congratulations on all your big new roles.
Thank you. You know, my first thought is, boy, we must have done something good. Because anytime you do something good, you make some big strides, people are going to come back and try to combat it. The thing about it is, anyone, when you're thinking about college voters, when you're thinking about young voting, a lot of times those voters aren't necessarily trying to think about one side or the other. They're more issue-based. You know, this younger generation, they're very aware of what's going on. They want to know both sides of the issue. They want to know both sides of the argument. So for me, the main issue is we should be able to hear both sides, and we should be able to figure out, make an informed decision about what we think. I mean, we saw what happened in 2020 when people showed up and showed out. Georgia showed up and showed out. So we want to continue that, keep that same energy. Obviously, we know that there's going to try to be some blockers and different things, but the main question is, what's the problem in having a debate? You know, I had a short stint at the Harvard School of Business, and that's the whole premise of when you're trying to argue an argument. You have to hear both sides of the debate. So my thing is, we want to hear both. Like, why couldn't we do that?
Well, so then what does it say to you about the Republican Party that they didn't just obstruct the legislation, they blocked the debate? I mean, they don't want people to hear both sides. They're not coming to this debate with a different way to guarantee the right to vote or to guarantee election security. There was no election fraud, so it's pretty logical that they have nothing to say on that front. But how do you sort of shake this loose? Everything in Washington feels so broken.
Yeah, I mean, it's a broken system. If we're not allowed to talk about what's going on, there's a problem there. You know, like, it's not even, people have to understand, we're not even talking about to pass the bill or not. Right now, we're debating on, can we talk about it? I think that needs to be understood, because when we talked about in 2020, that election felt like we were fighting for democracy. It feels a lot like that again, where we're fighting for a certain level of democracy to be able to talk about things, debate things on the Senate floor where they should be debated. I think that people need to understand their power. This is all a reaction to what happened last year. This is a reaction to people using their power to vote. And so these are now reactions, and I don't think they're okay. I think that people understand that we should be able to talk about it. It's nonsense that we can't. And to make any informed decision, you have to know both sides. And so we want to hear the other side as well as we understand. You have to go with what you know. If you don't hear both sides of it, what we know is that we had record turnout numbers. There was no voter fraud, no matter how many audits we want to do, that there was no voter fraud. We know who won the election. It was a success. Why wouldn't we just continue down that path? I do not know.
You know, Michael Steele, when we look at these debates in Washington and we cover the usual actors that you and I have known for the course of our careers, it's really dark. It's a grim picture. But when you look at sort of changing the picture and you look at the successes that Renee has had just in the last 6 months, it is sort of that slice of hope that maybe somehow the whole debate gets shaken up in a different way.
Well, it relies so much on the energy and the passion you just heard from Renee and what she brought to the game, if you will, last fall. And what is important now, on her words, is that we got to keep this going. I've been saying this for a while. 2020 was a warm up to 22 and 24. I mean, I can give you chapter and verse what's going on in some rooms on Capitol Hill right now in preparation for 22 and 24. It ain't pretty. You're just seeing the outward stuff. The ground game and the strategy is all about the power and the money that align themselves in a way that causes the Senate minority leader to basically sound like the majority leader. Right? It's like, oh, we're just not going to do any of this. We're not going to have the debate. We're just going to block the conversation. So civic involvement and engagement right now is so critically important. The members of the Congress and the Senate have to know that whatever vote they take on these pieces of legislation, voters will remember and voters will hold them accountable for it. You put your finger on an important point in the last segment, Nicole, and I wish we had explored it a little bit more, is that there have been no consequences for the last 5 years for all of the crap load of stuff we've seen Republicans say, do, and act on, right? There hasn't been no consequence. So now they're out there rigging the game at the state level and the county level with the vote. And what's the expectation of consequence? They're basically thumbing their nose at voters and saying, what are you going to do about it? And so what Renee is talking about is, oh, we got something for you. We got something for you. And whether you put an obstacle for us to get to the ballot box, we will get there. It's like that old Negro spiritual, you may not get there, but I'm going to get there. I may not get there with you, but I'm going to get there. And that's the goal right now for a lot of voters around the country, is that what Republicans are underestimating is that the voters will get to the ballot box. You can put it in a black box and stick it in a corner in a haunted house. Folks gonna show up. They're gonna be outside.
Go ahead, Renee.
Lined up.
Yeah,
I see you ready to jump.
Listen, I'm scared of haunted houses, but I will show up. If they put it there, I will show up. But to Michael's point, and thank you for your words, Michael, but that to your point, the obstacles put in front, they're going to make harder rules now. Everyone has to have an ID. Student IDs aren't possible. We saw the young vote turnout. We saw the Gen Z turnout. So what now? Student IDs maybe not be acceptable. We understand what's going on. That's the scariest thing, I think, that should be understood. We understand what's going on. So whatever rules, whatever blocks get put in front of us, we'll just work past them. Okay, student IDs aren't available. Everybody, time to get your license ready, get your IDs ready, then get your passports. That's just what it's going to have to be. Whatever roadblocks are there, we just have to move past them.